Okay, thank you. I'm calling this meeting to order. The Altadena Town Council, May 19th, 2026 at 7 p.m. Leading our flag salute right off is the Honorable.
Small, nothing. I am definitely not honorable, but thank you very much. It's really my honor to lead everyone today in the flag salute. Everyone please rise. Put your hand over your heart, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. We'll be seeing more of you later with a full bio. Reggie has a gift for you. Thank you. We're moving on to roll call. Recording Secretary Sylvia Vega.
Good evening, council members. When I call your name, please say present or here. Connor Cipolla.
Excused.
Morgan Rowland.
Here.
Nick Arnson.
Here.
Kim Yu.
Here.
Melissa Morona.
Here.
Dorothy Wong. Here. John Carmody.
Excused.
Darlene Green.
Here.
Anton Anderson.
Here.
Isis Molden.
Excused.
Pat Sutherland.
Here.
Vi Yvette Stewart Gordon.
Here.
Justin Moramus.
Here.
Reginald Wilkins.
Here.
Diane Markison.
Excused.
Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Let's move on to 1.3. Vice Chair Morona.
Good evening, fellow council members and community members. There are agendas at the back of the room as well as public comment cards. Council members, remember we are being filmed for those online, so please talk into the microphone. The council welcomes input from the community on both agendized and non-agendized items. If you would like to make public comment, please fill out the card and give it to the council person on either end of the tables. Additionally, I would like to remind everyone to please silence your cell phones and other noise-making devices. As the council does not respond to public comment during the meeting, if you would like a response, please include your contact information. Public comments are limited to 2 minutes. The guidelines are in place to ensure that everyone wishing to make public comment has ample time to do so, and that we can conduct this meeting in an orderly fashion. Council members, the Altadena Town Council Executive Committee met on Monday, May 4th to set the agenda for tonight's meeting and was sent to you on Thursday, May 14th. I have the following requested changes. Under 7, I will read the report for the affordable housing project for North Windsor. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor with the motion to approve as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Move on to starting with my report. It's AANHPI month. We will touch on that in a moment, but I do want to shout out to our Councilmember Wong, as always. Thank you for your work in our community. It's also Mental Health Awareness Month. This has been definitely on my mind for my own mental health and for our town's mental health. And I think one thing we still suffer from is an abundance of information. And to that end, I'm hoping that this council in its limited scope can do with the community. And I think one thing we can do is kind of hone in where the communication is happening and try to do it in a more expedient and less overload way. So to that end, I'm proposing 3 ATC initiatives: assigning council members as point people on certain subjects, convening a communication summit, or try to centralize our town-wide efforts, with council members, and just being more public-facing coming up around I'm going to touch real quickly. The first is our to be our point person to take on subjects ranging from the new West San Gabriel Valley Area Plan CIP, the PUSD consolidation and Eliot School building future, the construction signs violation, as well as many legislative issues. Speaking of which, I've been having active conversations with county officials, with our state senator, assembly member, the governor's office, that the full council has been made aware of. I've also been in conversations with our county director of Altadena Recovery, Anish Saraya. I was going to give you a little overview of what we've been discussing, mostly on SB 9 and 1123, but Director Saraya is actually here, so I was going to ask you, if you don't mind, a little out of order, but to step up and kind of take over what I was going to mention in my chair's report.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity again to be here with the town council. Good to see everybody. So I know 1123, our state that for urban, the concept of infill is really for. The unfortunate applicability in this moment to our community, which has been through so much, is not urban infill. When we look across our community, what we see amongst us are homes that are being rebuilt. And these, and I'll start with SB 9, while well-intended, is leading to some really difficult circumstances for our community. I'm sure many of you are aware of the proposed project on Punahou. And I know that's one we've heard a lot from the community on. And so we've been faced with a lot of questions about how these projects are being approved, why they're being approved. And so the supervisor sent a letter to the Director of Regional Planning, Amy Bodek, and asked her that same question. How is this moving forward? I thought the governor very clearly had an executive order that allowed the county to further regulate SB 9, understanding that we are in a disaster-impacted community. That the executive order the governor, I think it was May of last year, essentially said that local governments like the city of LA and the county of Los Angeles can regulate SB 9 in very high fire hazard severity zones. So the key there is that it was limited to just those areas. Now, person in this room is going to tell me, we are all in a high severity zone. With the way the state law works, CAL FIRE maps that designate what is a very high fire hazard severity zone essentially only apply to about 30% of the parcels in Altadena. So that is the only place in Altadena where the county has the authority to actually regulate SB 9. So projects like Punahou are outside of that area. So where those projects are being proposed, and many of these are being proposed by developers. The interesting thing I've learned is that SB 9 has a requirement for residency. So the idea is if you're going to subdivide a lot and build 4 units, you should not be somebody that's doing it as a development opportunity, right? The idea here is to create more affordable housing and housing opportunity. What we have discovered, or what I have learned, is that if you do not do the lot split, there is no residency requirement. So what you're seeing are projects, there's only one lot split SB 9 project out of 50 total SB 9 projects we've received. So, as we get to Punahou, the challenge is we have very few objective standards that the county can actually enforce in terms of what that project is allowed to build. So in this instance, the property owner, who to my understanding is a developer, purchased the property, is putting an SB 9 ADU on the lot, and then provisions of state law require us to treat it as a multi-family parcel, which allows them to then have multiple ADUs. And so we asked the department if they enforced every objective standard we could, and they looked at it multiple times, and the director came back to us and said, yes, There is nothing else that we can enforce without being in violation of state law. So the question, I guess, for us is, where does that leave us? So the Director of Regional Planning gave us a very comprehensive answer to this just yesterday afternoon. So the supervisor is reviewing that, and she plans to talk to both the governor's office as well as Assemblymember Harabedian's office and Senator Perez's office. Because at the heart of it is underlying state law and the limitations for what the county can do. So to complicate things even further, there is something called SB 1123 that I'm sure people are hearing about now. SB 1123, again, was designated as an urban infill effort. The idea is if you had a vacant lot of substantial size, you could subdivide it and create up to 10 units. And the idea is if you had a very built-out urban environment, you would simply fold into that urban landscape. Again, that's the intent as we know it from the state to enact this legislation. The challenge is developers see this as an opportunity. I can buy a single parcel, subdivide into 10 lots, and the amount of profit you would make off one single family residential parcel skyrockets. So the Director of Regional Planning, at the direction of the supervisor, called the state and said, hey, this is not the intent of the law. And so we've gotten written guidance that the applicability of 1123, SB 1123, really should not be happening in a community that has been impacted by a disaster. You are not substantially surrounded by urban uses, therefore you cannot apply for this state legislation. Now, as you guys know, the state authors dozens of housing bills every year. And so we can definitely attack these on a one-off basis, but I think ultimately what we need is a holistic solution through the legislature to say that these well-intended bills, which apply everywhere else, should not have applicability in disaster-impacted communities. We have enough challenges here as a community to try to bring back our residents without opportunistic developers and speculators trying to come in and buy distressed parcels from survivors who have lost so much as a opportunity to make money. So the supervisor is going to be speaking with all of her state counterparts, and this is very much front and center on our advocacy positions because I'm sure as you have all heard as a town council, this is something that is really infuriating to our community, and we plan to take this as far as we can to get this resolved. So with that, that's the end of my report, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you. It is a chair's report, so we won't do questions, but I appreciate you being here, Director Soraya. And I will say, there are plenty of questions at this table, I'm sure, and in this room and in this community. So it just has me stress once again, the town council is in place for a reason. It's to be a conduit to county. That means that we get to send you information county wants you to have, and we get to amplify your voice to county. So I would encourage you to continue using the council for that purpose. I'm going to again talk about the Communication Summit in a minute, but thank you again, Director Soraya, for being here.
Thank you.
On this issue and other issues, you know, always you can reach out to people at this table who have, again, become point people and perhaps have a committee like Councilmember Green is our legislative chair, Councilmember Whirlidge is our rebuild chair. There is Councilmember Wong still does the safety, street safety and traffic safety. So there is, in theory, somebody at this table who we can send you to if you have those concerns. So I'm going to try to quick bust through the other two initiatives. The Communication Summit, I'm just going to summarize. Essentially, I'm trying to put together all of the smart minds in our community that are doing communications, whether from the library and established organizations, new organizations like Altadena, social media, anybody who is in the world of communicating to our public. I'm going to try to put in the same room so we can talk about not necessarily getting rid of any of them, but being more comprehensive and connected and finding ways that we can work together and not attack the community with all this information, but make sure they get what they need. And then the last initiative I mentioned is I'm hoping the council will help me. You're looking at volunteers, 14 volunteers, 12 volunteers tonight. So I do recognize we have different capacity, and I do want you to take a look at your own capacity and what you're capable of some weeks or month to month. But I would encourage you to take up my offer if you're able to be at these events, these town events. I find them incredibly satisfying to meet with the public. Whenever you're able to take an hour and a half out of your time, grab one of the shifts, which I'm sending you tomorrow. There's 3 events coming up in the next 2.5 weeks that I hope we can be a strong presence at, and we can hear from these people and know what they need from us. Because I always approach this table without my own opinion in place. I always have one. But I like to think that it's not my opinion that matters. It's the people I've been speaking to. And I know the rest of you are on that track too. So let's keep pushing forward and listening to our community and putting ourselves out there as much as we can. That's it for my chair report. But just a reminder for council and community, keep an eye on your mental health this month and beyond. We're in dire straits. I see it every day at the collaboratory. People are breaking down a year after, and it's getting more desperate. So pay attention to your own and others' mental health and give each other some grace. I'll turn it to the vice chair for your report.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Director Soraya. I would ask Governor Newsom that the people of Altadena have suffered enough, and we need to have our voices listened to. Please listen to the supervisor and those of our state legislature so that we can build back what we had before, and we appreciate that. I will pivot to AAPI month. In the month of May, we take time to reflect and celebrate the important role that Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders have played in our shared history. This demographic group is collectively referred to Asian American Pacific Islanders, or AAPI. A little history lesson, starting with the joint proclamation celebrating an AAPI week, was signed by President Carter for the celebration on October 5th in 1978, and it became public law 95-41-9. In 1990, of all people, George H.W. Bush, taking this idea further, signed a bill passed by Congress to extend Asian American Heritage Week to a month. May was officially designated an Asian Pacific American Heritage Month 2 years later, and we celebrate with all of Altadena's AAPI and note their contribution to our town. Thank you to all of you. Joy Chen, who did our flag salute, we'd like to thank her. And Joy is the Executive Director of Every Fire Survivors Network, or EFSN. She is a fire survivor, a former deputy mayor of Los Angeles, and she has 30+ years of leadership across global businesses, media, and public policy. We thank you, Joy, for your hard work in Altadena. Who knew that a pickleball WhatsApp chat would lead to so much work on your part? And we thank you very much, Joy, for being here and for all you do for Altadena. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair. We'll move to recording secretary and approving the minutes. Secretary Vega.
Council member, the April 2026 meeting minutes were distributed on Sunday, May 17th for your review. As no revisions have been submitted, I will open the floor to any final comments or changes. Hearing none, I move to approve the April 2026 meeting minutes as presented.
So moved.
We have a motion.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Councilmember Anderson, a second from Wilkins. All those who approve say aye.
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 All those opposed? Abstentions? Anderson. Okay, thank you. I'm moving on to the treasurer's report. Treasurer Green.
Good evening, everyone. At this time, we're going to pass around our wonderful black money donation can. And once it reaches the end of the room, please pass it back up to us. The account began this month with a balance of $4,336.27. With Zelle donations and cash contributions, we received $150. Our ending balance is $4,486.27. I'd like you to remember that the Altadena Town Council is a volunteer organization. We sincerely appreciate any help that you can give us that helps us with community outreach. Thank you. This ends the treasurer's report.
Thank you. I'll move on to Corresponding Secretary Yu.
Good evening, council members. I first wanted to mention that I know we've been talking about moving our website hosting over to a new hosting server system, and we are going to be launching our new website in about 7 to 10 days, so hang tight. Yay! And what we're expecting is for people who have, to give committee chairs the opportunity to start posting and crafting their own pages, make it easy for the public to submit their public comments, make it easy for the public to see when town council events are happening, and also all the resources and events and things that we want the people to know at their fingertips. So I know that committee chairs have received an email this last week from our volunteer, Christian Dockery. Please respond to that email. We'd love to feature your work and you. So just send us some of your stuff so we can post that onto the website. And next, for my report, Councilmember Worledge will be reading into record our letter, our support letter for Assembly Bill 1642.
Thank you very much, and thank you to Council Members Green and Maramis for help with the drafting of the letter. And I'll just first read a quick note on what the letter addresses. So what is before us is a letter of support for Assembly Bill 1642, the Wildfire Environmental Safety and Testing Act. This bill is currently moving through the California State Legislature with strong committee backing. It just passed appropriations with unanimous approval. AB 1642 addresses a critical regulatory gap by mandating that the Department of Toxic Substances Control establish uniform health-based statewide standards for testing and clearing properties contaminated by post-wildfire toxins like lead and asbestos. By passing this bill, the state will provide wildfire survivors with the objective, legally backed environmental metrics necessary to ensure their homes and workplaces are truly safe to return to, while simultaneously strengthening their position when filing legitimate smoke and ash insurance claims. One last thing, our council relies heavily on dedicated grassroots organizations like Eden Fire Residents Unite and the Every Fire Survivors Network. Thank you, Joy. To do the heavy lifting of conducting research, guiding legislation, and advocating at the state level for important measures that will impact our community for generations to come. It is my sincere hope that as a council, we can lift up those efforts, weigh in with support when possible, and keep the momentum of our recovery going. As the elected representatives of the residents of Altadena, it is our responsibility to make sure our voices are heard on vital legislation that directly impacts our neighbors' health and financial recovery. So with that, I'll read the letter. Support for AB 1642, Wildfire Environmental Safety and Testing Act. Dear Assembly Member, Senator, and colleagues, on behalf of the Altadena Town Council, we write in support of AB 1642, the Wildfire Environmental Safety and Testing Act, authored by Assemblymember Harabedian and co-authored by Senator Perez, Assemblymember Irwin, and Senator Allen. The recovery crisis in Altadena extends far beyond the homes that were destroyed. Thousands of homes that did not burn were nonetheless impacted by toxic ash, soot fallout, contamination that could make a structurally intact home uninhabitable. After 16 months, many families remain displaced with no clear standard for ensuring a safe return home. Informed by contamination data collected in wildfire-affected communities, AB 1642 directs health-based state agencies, including the California Department of Toxic Substances Control, to establish science-based standards for wildland-urban interface fire recovery. Critically, AB 1642 initiates the development of a statewide framework for testing, remediation, and clearance. As an urgency statute, it would take effect immediately, starting the clock on state health agencies to deliver the science-based standards our community so urgently needs. Our residents have waited 16 months for a clear path home and the full insurance benefits they are entitled to. The Altadena Town Council stands firmly with our community in support of AB 1642 and respectfully urges the legislature to take decisive action in support of this important act. Sincerely, Nick Arnzen.
Thank you, Councilmember Whirlidge. Chair, are you good for me to take it from here? All right. So we have a letter. What would typically happen, Council? We will have a motion and a second, which will then have discussion and any public comment. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by you, second by Anderson. Is there discussion? Thank you, Council. I know we were aware of this letter and it's been circulated. Thank you again for drafting it. We will turn to public comment. Is there any public comment on the letter? All right. Seeing none, I will move to a vote. All those in favor say aye. 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 Opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. That's 12 of the present. There's a quorum. It passes. I will send that along. Thank you again. All right, we're going to move on to public safety reports. First up is not Captain Marquez. Correct? We don't need to make a correction. How are you?
Yeah, I apologize that Captain Marquez unfortunately couldn't make it. He's been in a training all week. He's been a captain for some time, but the way our department goes, they're a little late to sometimes get you to what's called Captain Command College. That's this week for him. He's currently in, 8 to 9 hours a day with about 2 hours of traffic. So when you see him, have a little bit of grace. I just talked to him a bit ago. But anyways, my name is Dustin Wyman. I'm the operations lieutenant at Altadena Station. Real quickly, I was going to touch on crime stats. Luckily, I can do this really quick because our crime stats are still significantly low. They have been low. They've stayed with that trend. We haven't seen any major spikes, nothing significant. Oh, I wasn't sure if I was talking too far away. The particular crime stats we are seeing maintain is mainly in thefts, whether that's petty thefts, grand thefts, theft from unlocked vehicles, catalytic converters. They kind of all just get lumped into thefts. So we have seen those continue. Luckily, like I said, it hasn't been a major spike. The catalytic converters is always a concern. They're really tough to catch. They happen in the middle of the night. The people come in, they go out, and it typically comes as a spike. So what we'll see is we'll get hit with like 3 to 5 in maybe a week, possibly more. And I actually meet with our counterpart. Usually see a bit more of a spike, but normally around the same time. So what that tells me is kind of a crew comes in, they'll hit the area, they leave, and maybe another crew comes in a month or two later, or the same crew comes back. We also see the same with construction equipment. So people that want to steal either construction equipment or building material, they will come in, we will see a spike, and then it will calm down. The reason I bring that up is just to remind you guys, please maintain diligence, please make yourselves hard targets. We are doing our best to kind of combat that and to catch people. We have a lot of investigative tools that we can use, but right now in Altadena, one of our best investigative tools is witnesses. And unfortunately, a lot of people have moved out. So witnesses are kind of few and far between. So when people are coming in, they're coming into a nearly vacant Altadena. And they're able to get in, get out, and unless we happen to catch them in the act, which is harder than you would think, now we're just playing catch up and we're having to use our investigative tools after the fact. But moving on from thefts, our enforcement efforts are maintaining. We have had an allotment of overtime that we've been using to essentially increase staffing in the area. We've been doing things, you've probably heard of the construction checks or the home checks. So we are doing everything we can to continue doing that. If you're not signed up for the construction check program, it's Altadena Home Checks. I'm sorry, what's the email address? I'll get it for you or we'll send it out, but it's Altadena Home Checks at, I think, lasd.org. You can email them. Even if you don't know what to send us, just say, I want to get on the program. We'll reply to it and we'll tell you what we need to get you guys signed up. And that allows us, or it kind of enables us to go to your house regularly and check on it while you're not there. Past events, last time I was here, I talked about an event that Suga was planning. If you guys don't know what Suga is, that's Sheriff Support Group of Altadena. They help fill in the gaps for things that deputies need. They had a murder mystery gala. I do see a lot of friendly faces here that were there. I had a great time. Everyone seemed to have a lot of fun. I'm sure they're gonna plan something again in the future, so keep your eyes out for that for next year. Later this summer, we have a couple events. The Sheriff's Department's gonna put on National Night Out. That's gonna be in August, but you'll hear more about that again later. Beyond that, that's pretty much the end of my report, unless there's any questions.
Thank you. Any questions, council? Go ahead, Vice Chair Maruna.
Just, it's Altadena home checks at lasd.org. So sorry I didn't have that for you ready.
Thank you. Vice Chair Maruna.
Quickly, as we were discussing, as you said, the most important thing is to have witnesses. And in our neighborhood, I mentioned to you recently that somebody saw some theft happening, called it in immediately, and were able to have your officers respond. The thieves were apprehended immediately. So we thank you in the Meadows neighborhood, as well as just want to amplify what it is that you were saying. It's important that people call things into the sheriff instead of going to Facebook. So
Yeah,
thank
absolutely.
you.
Thank you.
Council, any other questions? You're off the hook. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's bring up for 3.2 California Highway Patrol. I saw both Officer Keller and Bay are here. Okay. I wondered who drew the straw.
Good evening, council and members of the community. I'm Officer Keller with the California Highway Patrol out of the Altadena area office. The traffic report for the month of April is as follows. There were 11 traffic collisions investigated by our department in the Altadena area. 2 were misdemeanor hit and runs. 2 of the crashes were injury causing with 3 people injured in total. There were no bicyclists or pedestrian collisions investigated by our department in the month of April, which is good news. That being said, May is Bicycle and Motorcycle Awareness Month, so please stay vigilant. As motorists, keep an eye out for the bicyclists and the motorcyclists. They're a lot smaller than your big vehicles. And on the flip side, a reminder to motorcyclists, stay safe, obey all laws. Same goes for the bicyclists. The bicyclist community is increasing as time goes on, especially with the e-bikes. When you're riding in the roadway, please obey the rules of the road. That means stop signs and using hand signals for turning and stopping. Additionally, it's Child Passenger Seat Awareness Month, and we want to celebrate the 43,000 technicians that are serving California, educating and assisting motorists daily. As the Memorial Day weekend approaches, we will be conducting an HEP. It's a holiday enforcement period, and our focus will be on occupant restraints. So please wear your seatbelts as the drivers and remind your passengers to always buckle up. That's all I have for you today, unless there are any questions.
Thank you, Officer Keller. Any questions, council? All right.
Thank you.
Moving right along. Thank you. We'll move on to our LA County Fire Friends. We've got Maria Greichen coming up. Thank you for being here, Maria.
Oh, I wanted you to put the other one up. Okay. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, it's a separate file, but because that one's hard to see. Okay, we had a total of 209 responses. I did make one mistake on the report that I sent to you, so I'll correct that now, and I'll send you a revision tomorrow. We had 4 total fires. We had 165 medical calls. The total patients seen was 169, not 205. The report says that was last month's number. I forgot to change it. So the patient seen was 169. We had 4 service calls, 2 hazardous situations, and 34 that were considered no emergency. For the noteworthy incidents, I am cat lover, so anytime I see where we saved a cat, I have to tell you all. So we did respond to a home on Woodbury Road where a kitten had gotten into one of the interior walls, got into behind the wall, and firefighters got her out. So we rescued the kitten. We had a vehicle fire, and that was a pickup truck where the driver of the pickup truck, the occupants, they heard a bang coming from the bed of the truck. And so they pulled over and noticed that it was on fire, called 911. We came out, and the reason that I want to point this out is because it is going to start getting very, very hot. Be careful with what you're transporting in the bed of your truck. They had pool chemicals, I believe. So they were exposed to heat, and it caused them to explode in the bed of the truck. So just be very careful when you're transporting chemicals in the bed of your truck, that you're doing it safely. And we had an outdoor deck fire on Glen Rose Avenue, most likely caused by a cigarette that had not been completely extinguished. So the firefighters did pull the deck apart a little bit to make sure that nothing got underneath there. And we had a structure fire on Lincoln Avenue, a single apartment unit, no spread to additional units. There was one patient from that incident who was transported to the hospital. And then we had a pole fire on Figueroa Drive in the Edison Access Road area, and there was charring visible on the pole, and it did spread to the brush around it and burned about 1/8 of an acre. That's it for the noteworthy incidents.
Thank you. A couple thanks and a note. One of those calls was our council member Markison, so thank you for that. She's a treasured council member. Thank you for taking good care of her. She's not here tonight, but she's texting me.
Was she the kitten?
The gratitude. She was not the kitten.
Oh, okay.
But my first thank you is for, something as innocuous as a kitten. This town longs for the small town boring stories like that. So not boring at all, but thank you for saving the kitten. And thank you for staying in contact with the council. I know Chair Knapp last year really forged your relationship deeper because of the fires that you're continuing, and we certainly appreciate that as we move forward. The truck incident in particular, we know that when we get information on it, it enables us to answer the questions quickly. So thank you for that. Council members, any questions?
Yes. Go ahead.
I'll start with.
Hi, good evening. I would like to ask a question, and I was never ever able to get the final number. Maybe you can provide it or either point me to where I can find out. The number of inmate firefighters that help with the Eden fire, if I can get that number, I'd appreciate it.
Oh, I don't know if I can get that number.
Okay.
It's a lot. The number's going to be high, but
500, 800,
yeah,
1,000?
I will try. There were so many different camp crews. I mean, we had the inmate crews and we had professional crews. There were so many crews on that fire. I don't know that I can get that number, but I can at least get you a ballpark.
Okay, we can email. Thank you.
Okay.
Councilmember Wong.
Hi. My question is, how is the training going? Do you have some upcoming classes, CERT?
Oh, the training is in La Cañada.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to finish up next week. So I do have, there are just a handful of people from Altadena who have gone to the La Cañada class to make up the classes that they missed in Altadena. And I do have a handful of those students also, they're going to return to La Cañada for the final drill, just so they can do it again. So, but it's going great.
And one last thing, the brush clearance, or where are we on that?
The brush inspections have already started. I don't know what the progress is, but we are on, I'm going to say, off the top of my head, I'm going to say that we're probably close to 50% done with the inspections. They were going at a pretty good clip, so.
Councilmember.
That was actually my question as well. That fire, Sandy Fire, as you know, was started by someone clearing their brush. And we have some open areas with a lot of, I mean, what are your thoughts? I'll leave it very open. Clearing brush?
Well, my thoughts on clearing brush is it needs to be done. And it is kind of a double-edged sword because we do see that sometimes. We do see fires start as a result of people clearing brush. There are when certain conditions exist, when it's very, very windy, very, very hot, we don't like to see people doing that with blades that can spark, because that is what starts. And when it is windy and when it is hot and you are outside and you're doing some of that brush clearance work, please just have a garden hose or a fire extinguisher with you handy, just in case.
Any other questions? Thank you, Maria.
You're
Good
welcome.
to see you. We'll move on to item 4, general public comment.
The Altadena Town Council welcomes public participation and input. To make a public comment, please fill out a comment card found in the back of the meeting room and hand it to the council member at any time or during the meeting or prior to the general public comment period, which is now. Comments are limited to no more than 2 minutes. The council does not respond to public comment during the meetings. If a response is requested, please include contact info and the comment will be given to the appropriate council member to return the information.
Thank you. Council Member Yu.
When I call your name, please come to the podium. You will have 2 minutes, just like Councilmember Morona was just saying. And then I will also mention the person who's on deck, so you know who's coming up afterwards. We will start with Gunnar Lee Miller. And on deck will be Beverly Stewart.
Good evening. My name is Gunnar Lee Miller, longtime Altadena resident, also baseball coach, Central Altadena many years, AYSO 13 region, soccer many years, basketball, YMCA, and flag football, and I'm grateful for Altadena. It's my community. I lost my home and my investment property. I am a contractor. I had a public works company all over the state of California. I closed it down. I'm spending the next 10 years, whatever it takes, rebuilding my community. So I'm embedded here. I care a lot about my community. I've been in contracting a long time. I've had the privilege of doing some big projects all over the world. I pay attention to codes because I have to understand them in multiple jurisdictions. I was shocked about 2 months ago. Planning and zoning has been rolling out an entirely different interpretation of what a seller is. It is their new methodology is arbitrary. It is not per code, and it is absolutely hurting of any Altadena resident who has any slope on their property. I've spoken with various planning department officials. We've gone up to Kevin Finkel. They have not been able to explain why they're doing this new interpretive methodology. They have not been able to prove it. But here's the most maddening part. Is this new interpretive strategy that's very restrictive, they are only applying it to Altadena. They are not applying it to anywhere else in unincorporated LA County. I got that from 3 straight planners in a row, that this is our new methodology for Altadena only, and that's horribly illegal. The last part is we have a community standard. It's very clear. It's easy to follow. Heights, setbacks. We can maintain the character of our community. What they're trying to change or restrict us on the planning and zoning side is criminal. Thank you.
Thank you, Gunnar. I'm glad you were able to get your comment out this time. For everyone who is coming to the podium, you will see 1 minute increments because we can't do 2 minutes. So you'll get 1 minute and then it will re-up to the 2nd minute. Thank you.
Before Beverly starts, on deck would be Brent Harrington. Go ahead, Beverly.
Thank you. Good evening. I am a long-term Altadena resident also, and by the grace of God, I was one of the few that did not lose their house, albeit that all the houses on my street are gone. My problem is this overgrown foliage. It's going to start a fire if people are not charged with cleaning up their properties. It's not fair to us who have survived. Also, specifically the cul-de-sac at Altadena Drive in Fair Oaks, you have to pull all the way out in the middle of the street in order to see, so you can come out of that cul-de-sac. I believe a couple years back, there was some kind of, I'm lost for words, where the bridge was back 10 feet, the fences couldn't be but 6 feet, 4 feet high. Nothing has come of that. Like I said, that one house on the corner, the bushes all the way in the middle of Altadena, Fair Oaks. People have to be responsible. I know it's probably a wildly unpopular comment, but we have to clean up the properties around here. Otherwise, this summer, when it gets hot, we're gonna have more fires. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Brent Harrington, and on deck will be Scott Hathaway? Hathaway, oh, sorry. Hathaway, you're on deck. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brent Harrington. I am the president and CEO of Dryer Vent Wizard, Pasadena and Glendale. We specialize in repairing, cleaning, and replacing dryer vent lines in residential homes and commercial properties. U.S. Building Code M1502 requires that all dryer vent ducting behind walls and crawl spaces and attics needs to be 4-inch diameter metal piping. In doing a lot of the inspections in Altadena, we're finding a lot of these homes have flex material behind the walls and attics, and which of course is a fire hazard, mixed with having a buildup of lint. So we want to work with the city to try to get the word out, to let people know if you have that, please get it replaced, and at the very least, if you do have metal piping, please get it cleaned as well. A dryer fire happens in the country every 38 minutes. This is something we want to communicate out to the city, but that's about it. Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you. Scott Hathaway, and then Lori Juma is on deck.
Thank you. Yeah, Scott Hathaway. We live in 2621 Home Park Avenue, right off of Altadena Drive and Lake. And our home was burned to the ground, and we're rebuilding, and it's about halfway done. We had an issue 10 days ago, Southern California Edison, without consulting with the homeowner, without talking to the builder, without talking to anyone, and they're all familiar with my builder, came and dropped a transformer pad right in front of my master bedroom. And we contacted Edison, and they had me talk to their people, and we had a meeting yesterday, and they're gonna see what they can do. They're not sure what's gonna happen. So we're hoping to get it moved to a less objectionable spot. Right in front of our master bedroom is completely objectionable. Excuse me. And we talked to a friend of ours who lives on Alta Loma. And Alta Loma, they're dropping transformers all down the street, not contacting the homeowners. They didn't talk to our friend, who's the only house that survived on that street. And I see Edison taking advantage of the disaster to further their project and get it done quickly without talking to anybody. Thanks.
Lori Juma, and then on deck is Danny and Laurette Clash.
Hi there, my name is Lori Juma, and I'm an Altadena resident. I did lose my home in the fire, and my mother also lost her home at the nursing facility in Altadena. But today I'm here because of my concern for Eliot School. And I happen to also be the zone captain for Altogether Zone 130. And it just so happens that that school is in my zone. So I have a real interest in that. And I just want to present 3 questions quickly before the superintendent makes her presentation. The question is really to the superintendent. In the letter that recently went out, there was a reference that there were architects and engineers that were consulted to make recommendations about the possible tear down of the school, and I would like to know, as many others would like to know, exactly which engineering firms those were and who were the architects. Would also like to know how the public can obtain the written reports for those recommendations? And lastly, I'd like to know what entity actually requested the reports and who paid for them. And that's all I'd like to say. Thank you so much.
Next up is Danny and Lorette Clash. And then on deck is Victoria Knapp.
Good day, my name is Lorette Clash. I'm a resident of Altadena most of my life, and we are also over here in Casitas, and our home survived. We're here to talk about the noise from one of our neighbors, and on behalf of one of our neighbors who's a widow of 85 years old. And once a month, they have a loud party, and we've made attempts to address it. And we've had to call the police several times, and the noise doesn't go away. So we would like advice on how we can best handle this in a way that our neighborhood can be welcoming to everyone. That's what I have.
Victoria Knapp, and then on deck is Bonnie Brimmercombe.
Good evening, everyone. I have a couple things to say. First, I wanted to celebrate the soon-to-be promotion of Officer Bay, who will be promoting to sergeant and moving up to Sacramento. So we will miss him. He's going to do your report in June. He'll be gone at the end of June. A couple of things as it relates to upcoming community events. We've got the Altadena Forever Community Picnic, which is coming up on May 30th at Loma Alta Park, 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Supervisor Barger will be there at 3. We'll have a lot of events for both children and teens, as well as parents. The Dodgers are supplying Dodger dogs for that event, and that is being hosted by Supervisor Barger's CCAR group, which is the Community Coalition for Altadena Recovery. That morning, Saturday morning, May 30th, at 8 o'clock in the grocery outlet parking lot is the Rotary Pancake Breakfast. So there are tickets, even though it's free. Mark Mariscal in the back has tickets, so if you want to come to breakfast, it's really good pancakes and bacon and sausage and all the things. And then finally, on June 2nd in the evening, the Friends of the Altadena Library hosts its annual meeting here in this room, and we are having as our guest speaker Mayor Crowder of Paradise, California. So Mayor will be here. We've got, there's a QR code in the back that's on this flyer. You have to RSVP because we are limited to space here, but you can also submit questions that you have for him. They are 7.5 years into their recovery from the campfire. So we are looking forward to all of that, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. That was June 6th?
Second.
No, second. After Bonnie Brimco would be Mark Mariscal.
Hi, good evening, Town Council and community members. My name is Bonnie Brimacombe. I'm the principal of Odyssey Charter School South, one of the schools of Odyssey Charter Schools. I'm here tonight to just spread the word that we are very proud to still be located in Altadena. We lost our campus on 119 Palm, but we are very, very lucky that we have a new campus this year, the corner of Altadena Drive and Lincoln, so 575. We are a TK through 8th grade school. We are open, and we still have a little bit of space next year if you're looking for kids to have a school for next year. We've been in Altadena for over 25 years, so we're so, so lucky to still be part of the community. In case there's families that need a little more flexibility with everything we've all experienced, we are opening a new program next year called the Classroom Without Walls. It's an independent study program for people that need to maybe still be outside of Altadena but want to participate in our Altadena Community School. So you can find all of our information at odysseycharterschools.org. We're also having a campus beautification reveal event on Thursday from 2:30 to 4, partnering with All Hearts and Hands. They've come, they've helped really turn the campus into a really beautiful spot for kids. So you're welcome to come and join us, and there's free pizza. And my last comment is just, I really want to make it known to anyone that needs large spaces in Altadena. We have 2 campuses. They're available all the time, really after school hours, but also on the weekends. So if anyone needs any space for anything, especially for Altadena, we're up there, we're ready, reach out to us on our websites. We're happy to host anything that is needed. Thank you.
Ready, Sylvia? Mark Mariscal. I just want to make sure my time is there. First thing is, everybody that is watching this online, going to watch it in the next few days, everybody in this room, if you have not voted yet, vote. If you don't know who to vote for, ask friends and neighbors, but you need to vote. It is so darn important that people that are eligible to vote in this country vote. Second thing is, SB 1417. Let me just tell you, it's just another one of those things that are out there, but it's not. It's being led by Sasha Perez, Harabedian, and guess who is opposing it? Our 3 mutual water districts. We're not sure that all 3 of them are yet, but you need to find out about that item, SB 1417, because it's the California Mutual Water Association saying the state is trying to figure out how to take over water mutual things, special district. Cut them out. Anyway, sorry about that, Nikki. Rubio Canyon Water District, guess what they're doing? Man, they're trying to fill a position. Did the people that live in the Rubio Water Canyon all get notified of that? Of course not. And then last, because you guys cannot comment on this, I did not want to drop this check in the can when it came around. It was kind of funny, in a sense, that you were actually talking about what you're doing with your communications coming forward, kicking off the new website. Our Rotary Club gave you $5,000 last year under the former chair, and this year I'm bringing you $2,500 to help keep your communication going in Altadena as part of the Eaton Fire. Since you can't comment on it, I'm sure you're going to accept the check anyway, and I'll leave it here with Reggie, but thank you very much on behalf of Altadena Rotary and those. That sounds like a comment. And so the tickets for the pancake breakfast are back there. We hope to see you on May 30th. Thank you.
That concludes public comment. I was worried because you're so calm, Councilmember Yu, that we were calming down. But thank you, Mark, for bringing us back up. And thank you for this incredible, I am commenting. I'm saying thank you. Thank you to the community for supporting this council. I'm going to move on to special presentations. Before I do, I just want to make 2 notes. Superintendent Blanco, thank you for being here. This is obviously a very emotional issue, not just for the council, but for the full community. And I appreciate you coming out, and I appreciate the transparency we're going to have tonight. I look forward to that. And there was actually 2 things, but I'm just going to stick with 1. So let's bring up Superintendent Blanco, Dr. Blanco. And is Michael with you as well? Yeah. Thank you, Michael.
Will somebody be showing our presentation? Okay. Yes. So I just want to thank everybody for being here this evening and thank the council for giving us an opportunity to come back and have further discussion on Altadena Arts Magnet. Sincerely apologize for any grief that I caused anybody that was attending, the land use meeting. We were asked to come and speak about Franklin, and then Altadena Eliot Arts Magnet was added on the agenda, and I thought that being honest about what we knew to date would probably be the best approach, which it definitely turned out not to be, because, nobody at that meeting was ready to hear what we were saying on a report from our structural engineers. And, I just really am sorry that it was taken that way. And then the very next day, I learned new information, which I said, why couldn't the meeting have happened, 1 day later, which is the information we want to share with you this evening. And I think part of the reason you could say, well, why didn't you know that before you came to that meeting was that we were working from a premise. One, the tower is not registered as a historical landmark in the places that architects would normally look, but in the PUSD facilities master plan that we did when we did Measure O, we had our own historians through the DLR company who noted that it was a potential historical landmark. So that does change the types of assessments that we can do and are required to do. And that evening, I didn't know that. And, in defense of Mr. Dunning, he hired somebody to find out if the structure was safe, right? So it wasn't architects that rebuild. Usually when you work with architects and you're going to build, they come in and they do a lot of background information on history in the buildings. But these architects were only hired, instructional engineers, to tell us if it was safe. There is the main difference between something that is currently safe and something that can be made safe. And that is what the EIR, which Mr. Dunning will go into more depth about, will be investigating. That process can be up to, many months, a year or longer, but I think you all want to know, and we want to know as well, is there any way that the tower can be saved? So with that said, I want to talk about, the first slide. Our board did make a commitment in January, right, at our very first board meeting with Resolution 2800 on January 30th to the rebuilding of Eliot, because we wanted to be sure that our community, our students, our families had hope, right? And that was something that's very symbolic in our community. And that commitment has not gone away. It's a longstanding, educational, historical building for us, and it means a lot to our families, our staff, and our community. And we, recognize the deep connections in the Eliot Tower. I once climbed up to the top with Dr. Pomeroy because she won that in a auction at one of the annual funds in the ladder. And, we went up there and cleaned out all the birds and stuff, made sure that it was really neat before we climbed up there. And it was a, beautiful experience. Some of what we've talked about, if we do need to, rebuild the tower in a replica form, is that we'd want to make it much safer for people to be able to go up and see the community. But that decision hasn't been made yet. But we have always been committed to, transparent, thoughtful process in the rebuilding of Eliot that will involve the entire community. So a little bit about what we're going to go over today is what structural assessments have been conducted to date, and then the environmental review, what that means, which is new information, and then also the community engagement piece that will occur through the environmental review and through our master planning process with Measure R that you also voted for, and we appreciate that you gave us that money to, really make all of our schools have the best environments that we can for our students. You could go to the next slide. Thank you. So this is a little bit about what I've been talking about so far. So there hasn't been any final redevelopment decisions made by the board, but there has been a commitment to, rebuild Eliot and Eliot Arts Magnet through the resolution that I mentioned already, 2800 on January 30th. And, we do recognize the deep connection that this historic landmark holds for our students and for all of you. So I'm going to let Mr. Dunning talk a little bit about what has occurred to date in terms of emergency response and the A building, which is the main building of the campus that's connected to the tower.
Okay. If you can go to the next slide. Yeah, thank you. So far, we know that the Army Corps went and assessed the building originally. Those were the first engineers we engaged with. Their response was that obviously the major structure of the auditorium and what we called the science wing had to be removed, and that process has already happened. After they completed their assessments and sent their report to us, we wanted to make sure that their report was correct, and we actually challenged it quite a bit because their first version didn't have anything shoring up the tower, and we were concerned about that. We actually had them do a version 2, which ended up leaving that section that's kind of poking out from the end of the campus now, And what that was the hallway leading through the A building. That was structurally reinforced, and that part is actually helping hold up the tower now, at least for seismic reasons. So after that process cleared out, we were able to look at the campus and inspect everything. We hired engineers and an architect to help lead them to assess the building, to see what was safe and what wasn't. And ultimately, what we received back working with the state architect, our engineers, and our architects was that right now, that campus is very unsafe. The next steps really are going to be ongoing reviews. And now, knowing now that we have to go through a full EIR process, which is the environmental review process, what that does is it creates a place where we can stop, pause, look at the assessments. We'll also have to prove what we're saying, and that has to be public. So there'll be a scoping process with the EIR, which I'll get into later, and then there'll be a place where public can make comments and respond to the actual draft that we create. With us moving forward, can you go to the next slide? Sorry. The structural assessments that were conducted by us and the state architect, both looked at this. We also had our the engineers that are working with our insurance company look at the site as well. All of that information was taken together to DSA, and that's where we came up with the results that we discussed in the last meeting. The remaining tower portions of the building we know are currently interconnected, and you can kind of see that here in this diagram. There's a hallway to the east side, and that's what's remaining. What they did was encapsulated the end with steel and concrete to help stabilize that hallway and keep the tower standing. Next slide. So the environmental review is required because this was listed in our historical report for the district-wide historical report as a potential historic resource. So what that means is we need to investigate the resource as it stands and work through the CEQA process to determine how we can move forward. It's a state process that we're required to do. Once that process starts, you'll see a pretty transparent process. We have a company that's going to help us walk through this. We've been using them for the last 3 or 4 years. Ultimately, we'll be working with them to create a draft. That draft will go through a public process that everyone will have input on when we go through the scoping. Once that happens, we'll start going through additional assessments of what that draft outlays. Once those assessments are completed by the engineers and certified, then we come back and we walk through the next step is we show that draft back to the public, and you're able to enter comments. And those comments also go through a state process and a review. I believe it's called a clearinghouse. And we'll, as we work through those comments, you'll get responses, anyone who provided initial feedback. Next slide. This is explaining in pretty easy terms how that works. The CEQA framework, the EIR really is the entire process. It's, for us, it's a comprehensive evaluation. We cannot move forward with any determination until we prove what our options are, either one way or the other. The engagement and the transparency is, again, like I said, the early scoping process, and then I think there's a 45-day public comment process. That the public comments and the scoping does inform the final decision, so it is important for the community to get engaged. And next slide. So who we're working with, I know this was brought up already. We're working with PlaceWorks. They're going to be our environmental consultant walking us through the CEQA process and the EIR process as well. PJHM is a local architect in Pasadena that's been working with us for decades, really. They knew the campus before the accident. We already had structural reviews done prior, several years ago when we were looking at modernization. So we rehired those same architect and engineer to look at the campus again to see what kind of damage had been done, and the findings that they sent to us were what we've already discussed. RSSC is a new company with the district. We've just engaged with them for master planning process. They specialize in community engagement, and we're working through a pretty extensive process, both district-wide and community-wide, on not just Eliot, but all of our schools. So we'll be reaching out that way as well. Both of these will be working in parallel, both the EIR process and the RSSC process. We're really excited about that. All right, I think I'm passing it back off to Blanco.
So for community engagement, there's going to be 2 tracks going on community engagement. And I want to say, like, you might be thinking, well, why didn't they want to do this EIR process before? Because our goal was to make sure that we started working on the rebuilding of Eliot and reopening it as a school. And so when we were having the structural safety piece checked out, we didn't have some of the information. And when I reported that evening, it was the information I had to date in terms of safety. And I want to repeat again that I learned there's a difference between something being safe currently and something being able to be made safe. And with historical or potential historical things, you want to check and see if there's any way that it can be made safe. We were working from the premise of safety for the students and getting the campus back on track and starting community engagement with the RCC company. And that was part of the reason we needed to know, like, okay, when we approach the community and start with the bond work, are we approaching it from whether we can save the tower or not? And at that time, that evening, we did not think there was another way. So, I really, wish I, like I said, would have known that the day before, but I'm glad that we do know it in time and that, we are responding to you. But even with the attempt of, getting the rebuilding started, all of our negotiations with insurance and stuff have been to rebuild the tower in a replica format if we were not able to save it. So there's 2 kinds of community engagement. One that will now be with the EIR process, right? And then the one that we will be doing with our facilities master planning, which we have started already with conversations with the principal of Eliot and the school community. And then that will be where an initial committee is formed, just, seeing what people would like for their school in the school community. Then we'll have a broader outreach to the full community on the master planning process. So that's one process. And then the other process will be the one where it's more formal with community input on the saving of the tower. So those will be happening simultaneously. And I do appreciate that, Nick has invited me here this evening, and that, Victoria has been, I heard someone mention earlier, on our school consolidation committee, Catherine Barger's office did recommend that she be that person to serve on that committee representing you. So in all of our work that we do on buildings and stuff, we have invited someone from the city of Pasadena, the city of Sierra Madre, and then through Catherine Barger's office as well. And, in this situation with consolidation, she did select Mrs. Knapp. So we do want to, walk with you and be with you every step of the way. You've always been a great support to our school district, and the fire, has been a huge tragedy for all of us. And just hearing the stories this evening, it's still very emotional, right? What all of you are going through and what you're having to deal with as a community. And, you know, we have our students at the center of all of our decisions, and many of them are, you know, going through what you're going through in your community because they are from your community. I know I mentioned this statistic many times, but of our 13,200 students, 10,000 lived in the burn and evacuation zone. So that is a huge population of kids who have been through COVID, have been through, you know, the Eaton fire, and, you know, have had to deal now with ICE and us talking about the consolidation of their schools. And so I appreciated you bringing up that it's mental health wellness, you know, month, because we're also focusing on that and working with the students. So if we could answer any questions, we'll do our best to respond with the information that we have right now.
Thank you, Dr. Blanco. First, before we turn to the council questions, I just want to do some housekeeping. I too want to apologize. It was an emotional meeting at our land use meeting a couple weeks ago. I won't apologize for the intent, but I'll apologize that I yearn to show other people respect. I didn't do it to you that night. It was an emotional night for all of us, but I did it out of a place where I am eager to sit in this chair and protect and prepare this town for news that you delivered that night that we didn't have any heads up for. So while I don't have to be the point person, I was eager to make sure that someone in Altadena was in touch with you and communicating. And moving forward, I really want to make sure we continue to respect each other, and that I on both sides, that we just listen to each other and communicate above all else. So I appreciate what you're putting forward here, and I'm glad you mentioned the children in particular. That night, that was on my mind, that there were parents watching that were getting this news quickly. And I think this council or our education chair or somebody in a different organization on Heritage or otherwise could probably help you and PUSD really figure out how to position this in a way. And speaking of Heritage, council members, I did sign on to a Heritage request for public records because I do want to see these reports. Not that I don't trust who's in front of us, but I think it's important to recognize we have important people at the table here and in our town. So my apologies for not reaching out to all of you, but I did see the passion that night, and I recognize that it would be important to have those reports. It wouldn't do us any harm to sign on to it. Heritage has put in that request, so I'll be interested to see them. And again, interested moving on forward. Just for clarity, as I turn to questions, what I didn't get that night that I'm getting tonight, and I appreciate it, that the two things that are most important is that there's no decision, and also that you are committed to Eliot continuing as a school. So I appreciate that in your slides. And with that clarity, I'll turn to the council. I think I see Councilmember Anderson, and then I'll turn to Maramas.
Consider me a +1 on everything Nick said. I mean, it was an emotional night, and so thank you for coming back today. I had a question with regards to, in many of your slides, you commented or talked about things being potentially historic. And it's one of those things, there was another term that was always, I think it was the Supreme Court that says, you know, fill in the blank, you know it when you see it. And I think that, you know, I think for historic, you know, if you live in a community, if you're from a community, it's pretty obvious and straightforward what's historic. And so I'd like to know what criteria the district is using to determine what, I mean, is historic versus not, and what that criteria is. I'm hoping you can clarify that much in the same way. And again, to reiterate, really appreciate a lot of the clarifications you're bringing tonight.
So usually it's not the school district that does those designations, it's other agencies, and then they're listed formally. So when we did the facilities master plan for Measure O, part of the work that was in the contract of DLR, which was the architect firm that did the master plan, which is on our website, it's interactive. They went through a process and they looked up and told us which buildings were historic and not, but these are historians, right? So they wrote that, the tower is a potential historic monument, even though it's not listed in a federal or state registry. So that was the criteria that was used. So what you said is very true. When people see it, they feel that way. And I mean, maybe the town can move forward and get it registered. I don't know the process for how that works.
Thank you. So the school district doesn't have its own designation of buildings that they consider, that you consider historic?
No, we had somebody that did the research for us and wrote reports on each of the buildings. Because one of the things that they presented to us, and this is just, in general, was you can have a building that's historic and leave it the same on the outside and have it be modern on the inside, right? That's one of the approaches that some school districts do use with historic buildings. Eliot is something that we lost half of that building, right? So that's the challenge for us, that in having to clean and make it safe for the community at that point in time, the Army Corps did have to clean part of that building, which holds up the tower.
Thank you.
Councilmember Muramas?
Yeah, so my question is about the CEQA process, and I'll try not to be super technical about this, but the basic question is, what's the project that's being studied? Because when you go through an EIR process, right, we talk about scoping, we talk about the public comment period for the 45 days once the draft EIR is released. All of those things involve studying different categories of impacts to a project. So air quality, GHG, in this case, historical, but all of those other things as well. So the conversation that was taking place in the presentation was that the master plan and the long-term construction of the campus, whatever that ends up being, is sort of this separate track. But if it's a separate track, then what's actually being studied in the EIR as the project? Because typically an EIR is not used to tell someone whether something's historic or not. It's not used to tell somebody whether something's structurally sound. It's, hey, we already have a historic or potentially historic structure. The project is proposing to demolish that structure, modify that structure, not touch that structure, and then PlaceWorks would figure out whether or not there's an impact based on that. So it's a lot of words, but at a base level, what's the project that PlaceWorks is going to study?
I'll let Mr. Dunning answer that. It's a little more technical than my expertise, but, in simplest terms, whether it can be saved with retrofitting and things like that, or it's not possible to save it.
She's right. So ultimately, the visioning of what Eliot will be is going to work in the same track. I think that there's a long period of time where we have the opportunity to investigate the campus, investigate the structural stability of the concrete and the steel and the footings and everything that's related to the structure. That set aside, we do have to understand what it needs to be or what it will be moving forward in order to complete that process. So that'll definitely be involved in the scoping and part of the draft as we move forward. Both of those working concurrently ultimately just lets us get the Eliot school community hopefully back to their campus sooner, right? For us, it's a 12-month process, which is another year added onto any kind of construction that would follow. We can't touch the campus, right, which we expect the rebuild, whatever that looks like, to be somewhere around 3 years. So now we're looking at 4. We've already pushed it 1. So, and that's just holding up us coming up with final decisions on, what's going on with the campus and insurance. So for us to move forward, all of those things have to be considered, including the new configuration of whatever that campus is going to be, and that'll go through the visioning process.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm understanding is there's a process for the project being whether or not the tower needs to be demolished or what can happen with it, and then there's a later process for how that's incorporated into the larger master plan, and we want to know whether or not that's possible now as opposed to running those two tracks together. That all makes sense to me. The EIR itself, though, isn't the mechanism for telling you whether or not something is structurally sound. It's not the mechanism for telling you whether something's historic. Those things are done by consultants, and then they are put into the EIR to tell you whether or not there's an impact under CEQA. So I would just suggest, and maybe it would be helpful if, as the process kicks off, PlaceWorks comes and talks to us as well, but it would be helpful to understand exactly how that's working, because in my mind right now, it's not jiving exactly, because in my mind, that determination has to be made before you can even do any type of CEQA analysis.
Right, so for us, we're just starting the process with CEQA, right? I just asked for a proposal from PlaceWorks, right? They've already been decided, we pre-procured them for district-wide reasons for all of our modernization processes. So they're gonna come and help us. They will, definitely we can have them come and explain things to this council and the community at large, really. And I think part of that is gonna be through RSSC as well. I think for us to keep everyone in the loop is the only way to go, is making sure that everybody's with us every step of the way. We're already stepping up our communications. We have monthly, even weekly reports on any construction that's active, and then monthly updates on the entire program, anything that facilities is doing. And we can just add anybody who would like to be on that mailing list. So more updates to come. So yes.
Thank you, Councilmember Vega, and then Councilmember Wilkins, and then Stuart Gordon.
Do you have a timeline? I mean, you mentioned a lot of gathering information. Do you have a timeline for that? And when we will find out the answers of all these studies?
The studies are going to rely on how much testing and what testing that they're going to require to see where we're going with the actual structure. We do expect that to be, this is not something that's going to happen tomorrow. So, yeah.
Is it like 6 months? Is it 8 months? Is it, just trying to get a feel?
So the entire process is going to be somewhere around 12, right? So before we come to something that's going to go in front of the board, we're looking at about 12 months, if that makes sense.
So, please know, when we were working with these other, structural engineers and architects, we were working from the premise, can we save the tower, and is it safe to save it, and can we start talking about rebuilding our school? And, they were telling us, no. So that's what we reported to you, but they were not answering the question of, can it be made safe, right? And that question is very different than something being not safe at the current time. And I guess you only ask the question that way if there is historical potential on the building you're asking the question about.
We'll take two more questions, Councilmember Wilkins, and then Stuart Gordon.
I was wondering if the state architect is someone that the council could talk to about their assessment that it wasn't safe. It'd be great to see that report, and maybe if it's possible to see the data we have right now that said it wasn't safe as it is, as opposed to it being made safe in the future. I believe one of our commenters who came up said it'd be great to see those reports as well. I think it was Ms. Zuma said, could we see the reports that already exist? Thank you.
Yeah, we have had conversation just to make sure that it would not jeopardize our insurance negotiations in any way, and I do believe our council said that we can share the reports, that it would be okay now, and that's part of the reason that we were not having a lot of public conversations, is that, we have a lot of insurance negotiations going on, and those of you who are going through this understand how that goes. So it wasn't that we were trying to hide anything. Even our own Board of Education, wants to know, like, what's going on with our insurance and what's being paid out. And, Mr. Dunning and our risk manager, Dr. Cannell, have team meetings with like 20 to 25 people every other week, because there's complexities, right, in all of the damages and what the policies cover. In addition, it's been public knowledge that we are also in a litigation with Edison. So, but we can share that information with you.
Thank you, Councilmember Stuart Gordon.
Yes, we know that the architects were Marston and Mayberry, which was a Noted Pasadena firm. They were the one who actually constructed it. So and also we know that they received national recognition at the time from Architectural Digest twice, because the school was built during the Great Depression, and it was such a marvel. It was beautiful. And it also received an honor award as well. So is it anywhere possible if you can, when looking for some of the firms, ask any question, are they familiar with their work, or Do they know anything about the style? So they can look at it from both ways, you know, can they preserve it? Safety and all of that. I think that's something that would make a difference as well. Thank you.
The firm that will be looking for whatever the campus will be restored to, that'll go through a public RFQ process for us to figure out exactly what's going on. We already have a process that leans towards local. Our board has instructed us very clearly to make sure that we're leaning towards local. There's lots of local firms that'd be very interested in this project, and there's several that are highly qualified and meet our qualifications and already registered with us. So I think that even the firm that's there doing the structural is completely disheartened about our results and what we found so far, because they feel the same way. He lived down the street from it for a very long time. So yeah, I think that we need to make sure that we're incorporating everything we possibly can in the revisioning process. And I think that that's going to be clear through our very, at least planned, transparent process.
Thank you both again for being here. We look forward to helping you have conversations with the community. Thanks again.
And you can sign up for our newsletters on our website if you want to receive, weekly updates about projects going on in the school district. And then we do have a facilities advisory committee, which is made up of community members, parents, and, we have talked a little bit about the elected officials as well, rebuilding of Eliot at that meeting, and all of the stuff is on our website, as well as another link on our website that has all the information about school consolidations and the budget. So you can be very informed. We can come back anytime, but a lot of the information is really accessible for everyone to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Blanco. Thank you, Mr. Dunning. We're going to move on to community reports. First up, we have the McChrystal Group After Action Review. This is actually about a new survey. I have Chris Taylor coming up.
All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you. Thank you to the council for giving us the opportunity to participate. And thank you to Supervisor Barger's office for making this connection for us. My name is Chris Taylor. I am with McChrystal Group. McChrystal Group is the independent consultant hired by Los Angeles County to conduct the after-action reviews for the 2025 Eaton and Palisades fires. In September, the county released part one of the after-action review, which focused on alerts and evacuations. This second part, current review, focuses on what happened after the fires. That includes recovery, repopulation efforts, and recovery services that were available to residents. If you could go to the next couple slides, please. One more. This review looks at several areas. This includes repopulation and reentry, recovery services, shelter and housing, public communication, health, public health, safety, volunteer and donations management, and support for vulnerable populations. We want to understand what worked well, where constituents faced barriers, and where improvements are needed for the system in the future. Next slide, please. So to do that effectively, we need to hear directly from the people who experienced the recovery process. The public survey is one of the most important ways we gather that input. It gives residents a direct voice in shaping our recommendations and helps ensure that the final report is grounded in lived experiences and not just internal processes. I know that this community has been through a lot and that there has been survey after survey and question after question. But this is the best process we have to hear directly from constituents and how they utilize these services and where they could hopefully be easier to use in the future. We are very specifically hoping to hear from a wide range of community members. This includes any residents who evacuated from their home, experienced property damage or loss, used recovery services, relied on shelter or temporary housing, or faced barriers during the recovery process. We also want to hear from seniors, people with access and functional needs, individuals in residential care facilities, justice-involved individuals and their families, people experiencing homelessness, and those who volunteered or attempted to donate time, money, or goods. So it's a pretty large group of people. Today, we are asking for your help in getting this survey into the community. It takes less than 10 minutes to complete. Next slide, please. It is anonymous, it is confidential. We don't ask your name, we don't ask your address, anything like that. We just want to make sure that you are giving us the most accurate and honest information that you can. On each one of these chairs before the meeting, we put a flyer. On that flyer is a QR code that has access to the survey. We also have it up on the screen, so please take out your phones and share the link with anybody who you may think needs to take the survey. Also, myself and my colleague Jake will be out front in the lobby. We will help walk through the survey with anybody. We're also there to answer any questions. The more voices we hear in this survey, the stronger and more representative this review will be. Ultimately, this is about helping ensure that future recovery efforts are more effective, they're more equitable, and more responsive to actual community need. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chris. Council, any questions? Councilmember Anderson.
Can you get us beyond the QR code, the actual URL that we can push out, please?
Absolutely. I will get that to you guys.
All right, thank you.
Anything else?
Hi, I have a question. You talked about the first report that was released. Are there going to be any edits or amendments or addendum to the first report?
I'm not sure. I'll definitely have to look at that and get back to you. At this time, I do not believe there's any amendments.
Okay. Can I have a conversation with you afterwards?
Please.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Will this second version look at perhaps another disaster like an earthquake we're definitely going to have here?
So we are looking at comprehensively how recovery service were provided to constituents following this specific disaster. However, recommendations that we do make will be relevant to all hazards, improvement in getting people services.
Because that one's a certain one. There's a certainty of that happening for us, yeah. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Any other questions? Thank you, Chris, for being here. I'm going to move on to the YMCA. Vince Lucalano. Thank you, Councilmember Yu, for spending your time at that table.
Good evening, Council. My name is Vince Ucolano. I have the privilege of serving as the CEO for the YMCA of the Foothills. I'm here to talk a little bit about our YMCA, but really wanted to focus on our love and support for Altadena. My time's up already? Gosh, I've been sitting here for almost 2 hours. I get 15 seconds. All right. Hey, life is cruel. I get it. So thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. And like I said, we really want to focus our love and support for the Altadena community, certainly over the course of years, but really over the last 16 months. Next slide, please. I want to talk a little bit about the history of the YMCA of the Foothills. We were incorporated in 1958 by a group of folks that lived in La Cañada, Glendale, and La Crescenta that just saw the need for a YMCA as that community began to grow. We saw really expansive growth over our first 15 years, and we were blessed to pick up the Los Angeles market with our YMCA at Verdugo Hills and Sunland Tahunga. In 2016, because we once again grew to a point where we needed to pick up another location and more deeply serve the community, the old Foothill Athletic Club at the bottom of Lowell Avenue in Glendale, right off the 210, we converted that into our third YMCA location. The YMCA of Foothills is a regional and statewide leader in membership, youth programming, family programming. Today we're the 11th largest state in the 11th largest YMCA in the state of California, and we're in the top 150 across the country. Next slide, please. That is a picture of the original build in 1961. If you look just behind where it says Crescenta, that's Altadena right there. This is our flagship branch in La Cañada, Flint Ridge. Next slide. The Crescenta Cañada branch focuses our service in the communities of La Cañada, Flint Ridge, Montrose, La Crescenta, North Glendale, Altadena, and portions of unincorporated Los Angeles. Next slide, please. Our second branch, Verdugo Hills Family YMCA, is at 6840 Foothill Boulevard in Sunland Tahunga, and that branch primarily serves the Sunland Tahunga, Sun Valley, and Shadow Hills neighborhoods of Los Angeles. Next slide, please. And then our most recent YMCA conversion is Crescenta Valley YMCA at the bottom of Lowell that serves most of North Glendale, Montrose, and parts of La Crescenta. Next slide. How we serve, we have this thing called the 3 C's. And that was our strategic plan over the last 5 years: charity, community, and commerce. Really charity, just focusing on supporting folks any way we can. Community, having the why at any part in the community. And commerce, just making sure that we are developing assets and support to do the mission work that we love to do. Now, more importantly, how we've impacted Altadena. Next slide, please. This is how we've served through the Eat and Fire event. We have picked up an amazing group of partnerships and supporters to help us do this work. The YMCA has not done this alone. We have some amazing partners in this space that have really helped us to push the mission forward. Next slide, please. In the hours and days after the fire, our YMCA leapt into action. We had served over 1,200 families with essential items, brand new clothing, brand new bedding, foods, baby formula, anything that we can get our hands on. We turned ourselves into a distribution center in La Cañada, Flint Ridge, and served folks from Altadena and Pasadena. Our Y contributed $125,000 of unrestricted funds in the form of $1,000 checks to folks that lost their homes. And then over 150 volunteers that donated over 1,000 hours in those first days and weeks leading up after the fire. But the work was not done. We committed to long-term recovery, and that's our promise to this community, is that we are here for the long haul. We're going to walk along your side. We've been privileged enough to do this over the last 16 months by sending 108 kids to camp. We provided 3 housing grants for folks that lost their homes in Eat and Fire. We are paying rent for them with our partnership of Beacon Housing and the Pasadena Community Foundation. We found 3 homes for them, and we're taking care of the rent for 2 years. We've awarded 582 free memberships. This is seniors, this is families, this is youth, this is individual single memberships. And our commitment in a real dollar amount over the last 16 months has been $536,000. That constitutes direct fire funding relief, programs, services, camp experiences, yes, and the housing that we provided with our partners with the LA Dodger Foundation and Max Muncy and Kelly Muncy. So we're here to tell you we love you. We're here to support you in any way we can. We know we cannot do that alone. And we have a short video, I promise. It's like 20 seconds, so we wanted to show you here at the end. Probably have to click one more. It was only 30 seconds, but I don't know if it'll load or not. It was one of our members from Altadena that just talked about the impact that the YMCA had on her life and her family's life after they lost their home in the Eat and Fire. And the Y has been a place where they refound community. It's where they refound support. It's where they showered. It's where they picked up food. Thankfully, they're in the process of rebuilding, and I know a lot of folks aren't. And our Y is really here to step into that gap and try to help wherever we can. So thank you for the privilege of speaking tonight, and I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Vince. Are the housing grants still active?
Yes, so we are waiting. We're constantly working on finding funds. We've been privileged enough to have a couple of foundations provide that for us. We're actively working on refunding that. We still have about 900 people on our waiting list to receive funding for the $1,000 check. So you can see the need is still really there.
Yeah.
And we're doing everything we can to line up with foundations that are help us in that cause.
Well, if the partners you mentioned or anybody at this table in this room can help with the compelling stories, we certainly know there's desperation right now with people running out of funds, insurance money, and homelessness on their horizon. I'll also say I know you've been actively reaching out to the community. I think sitting at a round table on, I don't have my schedule, but I think it's Thursday, out in La Cañada. Is there any questions from the council? Councilmember Anderson, you're always first.
Thank you. Actually, I didn't have a comment, but thank you so much for everything you're doing for the community.
Appreciate it. It's okay. I'll send it, and you guys can take a look at it. I'll send it to you. Very good.
I also wanted to thank you for what you've done for the community. I think I was on a forum with you at UCLA where they were thanking you guys, so I do remember you. I wanted to ask, so you have all these resources available. What is the waiting time? Because you said you have 900 people waiting. So then so send me the information. But thank you so much for what you've done. I've saw the testimony, so
No,
we're
we
grateful.
appreciate, thank you for your service to the community as well. It's pretty amazing what you guys have pulled off here.
Councilmember Wong?
Yes, so as one of the fire survivors here in Altadena, I just want to say you guys have been amazing because I stood in line on one of those first days with my neighbors, and we got to know each other more than ever, and it was just so powerful because just that moment in time I connected with our neighbors. And they had lost their car. They had gotten evacuated. And her husband, they had to get evacuated because they couldn't drive. So that moment in time, and then literally an hour later, somebody texted me, hey, do you know someone that needs a car? And I said, I got the person. And it turned out to be exactly what they needed. And if we weren't waiting in line, we wouldn't have met each other. And I have a favorite plushie that I still have.
That's
And I have a sticker that says California Strong.
Yes.
And I ride that on my bicycle every day. So thank you for making us
Oh
strong.
my gosh, thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. Yeah.
Thank you, Councilmember Wong.
Thank you.
Thank you again for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Next up, we're bringing up from EFSN, LA Fire Survivors Insurance Survey, Joy Chen. A familiar face. Come on down.
Good evening, Chair Arnzen, Vice Chair Morona. Thank you so much for your very touching remarks earlier. Council members, thank you all for your service in the community. So I'm with Every Fire Survivors Network, as you just heard. It started out right here in Altadena, as the Vice Chair said earlier, as a pickleball WhatsApp. And it's now grown. Starting from the night of the evacuation, it became our emergency evacuation network and our emergency fire brigade. I know everyone here can recount that night, hour by hour, of what happened. But since then, we've grown as an emergency hub for information and resources in the early days of the fire. And then we outgrew WhatsApp, which has a 1,000 person limit. We moved to Discord. And very quickly, we started inviting Palisades fire survivors in. And since then, we've continued to grow as a hub for resources, information, and we've also been advocating for insurance and utilities accountability as the two primary sources of funding. First of all, I invite everyone, if you don't yet subscribe to our newsletter, to join that, and that is at efsurvivors.net. I don't have a QR code, but you can just type in EF, like everyfiresurvivors.net. Tonight, what I wanted to share with you about is that we are getting ready to launch a survey of insurance experiences for Eaton and Palisades fire survivors. This will be the first and only national data set on how insurance companies actually perform before and after a major disaster. The data will be insurer by insurer, so for the first time we'll be able to get real data on how insurance companies are actually performing. It will be an open data set. That means that it'll be fully anonymized, but everyone from law enforcement at the local, state, and federal levels will be able to go in and find out what's really happening with our insurance claims. Legislators will be able to use this data to create better consumer protections. Those people who are suing their insurance companies or thinking about suing their insurance companies will suddenly have thousands of cases that they can draw from to support civil litigation. And then consumers everywhere around the country, someone sitting in Ohio who's thinking about buying insurance and wanting to have concrete data on how insurance companies actually perform, they'll be able to come in. So this is something that we felt would be a way that we can lift up survivor voices, but really aggregate survivor voices and take this 16 months of trauma that we've all been through and create something great for the community. So we are getting ready to launch this, and I will share the information with the town council when we get it. Anyone who would like to sign up right now, again, for our newsletter, we'll be launching it through our newsletter at efsurvivors.net. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joy. Good to see you. Next up, we have from Parks on the Altadena Mobile Recreation Program, Mr. Johnson. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, that's good? Okay. I'm here to present our mobile rec program. We're with LA County Department of Parks and Recreation alongside LA 84, which is the Play Equity Fund. It's a fully funded program that we come out to community events. We do play dates with kids. We do birthday parties, pretty much anything that the community needs. It's a near and dear program to me because I'm from Altadena, of course, and we can come out and do these things for free. So there's no cost associated with this program. All we need to know is the information of where we need to go and if the data is available. We only have one van, as you guys seen outside when you guys were coming in. We have interactive games. It's a gaming truck. We did birthday parties where we brought out a jumper for the kids, and we do anything strictly for the community of Altadena. So if you guys are ever interested in us coming out and doing anything, I can give you guys my number right now. It's 626-977-8432. We are doing a summer kickoff June 6th at the Bob Lucas Memorial Library, the new remodeled Bob Lucas. I heard you earlier. And we're gonna do a summer kickoff where we're gonna from 9:30 to 11:30. You guys can come out, bring the kids. I know it's the last day of school is the 4th. I know that because my son goes to Altadena Elementary. So he's gonna be out, he'll be there. We really want the community to come out and celebrate this thing because I've never been around for a program that will just come out and just do things for us for free. And I am the face. I'll be there alongside with Demi here. And we don't say no to Altadena. So if anyone's had us there, they know we'll show up to the point where we're working almost 6 days a week, and it's because we want to. So I'm open to any questions if you guys have any.
Council, any questions for Mr.?
So you're saying that you'll bring your van out and do events, so you'll do like block parties for neighborhoods that are like trying to get back together? I mean, help me understand the scope of what you mean by like, we don't say no.
Okay, so so we don't say no, and strictly because we want to be at the community events. But yes, so we'll come to an area where houses are burned down, and let's say the community just wants to come out and do a fun day. We'll come out to that. If there's 2 kids at the house that are bored during the summer and the parents want us to come out to entertain their kids for a couple hours, we'll do that. If there's a birthday party that you guys are throwing and you just need some extra spunk and happiness, we'll do that. If there's a community event that you guys have that we are, like for instance, we're doing the pancake breakfast and we're going over to the EFC, and then we're going to go up to Altadena Community Picnic. We'll do that. So we're also doing the Poppy Ride, so we'll be there as well. So if you guys, there is no limit outside of like if you're not in the city of Altadena. So if you are in the city of Altadena and the data is available and our van is available, you'll see Demi and I or one of the other staff that are in rotation to do the program.
And how do we sign up for this?
So you can do 2 different ways. You can call that number I gave you. You can text me. A lot of people text me. And then we have the mobile recreation at parks.lacounty.gov. I'll give you this flyer. And you can email us, and just all we need is a time, date, and where the location. And if it's available on our schedule, we'll put you on and come out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. We've hit 9 o'clock in a county building, so I will cut off questions, but is there anything else you wanted to share before you leave?
Sorry, it's June 5th. Demi just corrected me. That's why she's here. June 5th is the kickoff. So, yes.
All right, thank you very much. Trevor, I saw you back there too. Good to see you. Next up, we've got Altadena Public Library Director Nikki Winslow.
Good evening. I'm going to be really fast tonight, I promise. Good to see everyone. Member Council. So our update for these next 2 months with the Altadena Library District, and we are excited about June 5th. That's when the launch of the LA 84 is going to be at Bob Lucas. So just want to clarify that. And we're really grateful to the parks for all the partnering that we've been doing with our Loma Alta location up there. So my first slide, I'll just start talking. Some of our upcoming closures include tomorrow, which is May 20th. We're actually closed to do a Habitat for Humanity volunteer build day with all of our staff. So excited about that, but our 2 sites will be closed while we're helping build one of the homes in the community. We're also closed on Monday, May 25th for Memorial Day, Friday, June 19th for Juneteenth, and partnering with Altadena Historical Society on both their hike as well as the luncheon that's taking place that day. And then we'll be closed Saturday, July 4th for Independence Day. Real quickly, our main library building project update. We were awarded our CUP, so we got our conditional use permit in April. Thank you, I know, many years in the making. Thank you to the Land Use Committee for your endorsement and everybody's support in getting that. So right now we're currently lining up some of the permits we still need to start construction, as well as finishing some of the mitigation measures related to our EIR and CEQA. So construction should start later this month or early in June, and my capital project manager believes that we'll have it done in 14 months. So fingers crossed, we will have a library to open later next year. Very excited to announce that we have appointed our 2 new Altadena Poets Laureate for the 2026-28 season. Our editor-in-chief is Shahe Mankarian, and then our community events poet laureate is Rhonda Mitchell. So it was a very competitive process. We have a lot of people apply now. It's become pretty prestigious. So excited to bring them on board, and we'll have 2 years of really great poetry programming coming up. In terms of celebrating AAPI or AANHPI month, we've partnered with LA County as well as many other library districts to be part of One Book, One Coast, which again is all the way from Washington, Oregon down into California. We're all reading the book, They Called Us Enemy by George Takei. You can get copies of the physical book in our libraries, or if you go onto Hoopla, our app, you can download it and read along with many other people along the coast. We've also had a couple other events in support of this Heritage Month, including one last Saturday that was here featuring Sam Mahara, remembering Heart Mountain. He was a Japanese internment camp survivor. So it is that time of year again for summer reading program. I did bring our catalog. They're on the back table, which include your reading log on the inside. The staff this year decided not to go with kind of the canned publicity that the state releases. They created this on their own. So it's called Camp Altadena, very retro feeling. We're gonna be releasing social media posts with staff going to camp as kids, so check that out soon. It's gonna run from June 6th through August 8th. You can read minutes as well as complete some other goals through our library app, including things like to interact with the community, not just read. We're also partnering with LA County Parks on their free lunch program to offer some enrichment programming as well at Loma Alta Park. And our summer kickoff event is going to be Saturday, June 6th from 1 to 4 at the Bob Lucas Library. Please come celebrate and kick off the program with us. A couple other programs I'll briefly mention. We have our Cozy Crafters this Friday at Callisto Tea House. We've really been trying to take some of our programs out into community businesses and other places, so Callisto has been really supportive. We're also doing a kids workshop on Saturday with a Girl Scout troop. We have family story time next week. Huntington Health screenings coming up on June 9th, as well as, many, many other programs. And I will say in the catalog, it's June, July, into August, every program throughout those months. So it's a really cool calendar for you to pick up as well. Happy to answer any questions you might have. And thank you for
Nikki.
the time.
Council, any questions for Director Winslow? All right, we're going to keep moving on. Next up, our final community report from Public Works. I've got Stephen Gutierrez with street sweeping. Thank you for this late hour. We put community first and did comments early on, but trust me, people watch, so the thinned out crowd doesn't reflect who's getting your message.
No problem. Ready? All right, thank you for having us here tonight. My name is Stephen Gutierrez, and I have Ronnie Simone with us as well. We're with LA County Public Works to talk about some proposed street sweeping changes. Public Works, we provide weekly street sweeping services throughout the Altadena area. We're currently looking to change the current posted schedule on 6 streets in the Altadena area. This is related to some changes we made last year. We made most of our streets throughout the area were swept on the same day for both sides. We did switch most of the streets throughout the area to different sides on different days. So it's just related to that. We will send out a mailed notice to affected properties in June, and they'll be provided a 30-day window to provide feedback.
Hi, good evening. So the reason for the changes is just to assure that the regulations are accurate and to make sure that the street sweeping is sorry. So for Oak Street, the south side, we're gonna be changing from Monday to Friday, but keeping the time the same from 7 to 11 a.m. Next slide. Yeah. For Harriet, it's the south side again, but we're gonna be changing from Monday to Wednesday, but keeping the same time again, keeping the same time from 9 to 1 p.m. And then for Glen Rose, it's gonna be east and west. The east side is going to be from Thursday to Wednesday, and then the west side would be from Wednesday to Thursday, while keeping the same time posting. Next slide. For Altadena Drive, the service road, it's going to be both the south and north side. We're going to be changing from Tuesday to Thursday, and keeping the same time posting, 7 to 11 a.m. And for Roy Street, same both sides, south and north. And we're gonna be keeping the Wednesday day and changing from 7 to 11 a.m., from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Next slide. And lastly, Waymar Street, it's gonna be the south side. It'll be Wednesday. The day will be kept the same, but it will be from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. to 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And next slide. Yeah.
All right, so thank you for having us here tonight. And again, these regulations, we will be sending out notices to the property owners on the streets. They'll be given 30 days to provide feedback, and these are just intended to improve that current posting to reflect when we're actually on that street. Any questions from anyone tonight?
Councilmember Anderson?
First of all, thank you for sharing this. I know that a lot of these changes are helping to make things less disruptive for residents. So how do other residents give that feedback to you? I've had a couple of people come to me and say, hey, we're on a cul-de-sac, and half our cul-de-sac is on one day and the other half of the cul-de-sac is on the other day, and it seems more logical to maybe hit the whole thing all at once. I've had feedback like that in a couple of instances, and how do they get that to you?
I would say if they email us or contact us at one of those numbers provided, that'd be the best way, so we could check out what their particular street is and see about updating that regulation.
Awesome, thank you.
Any other questions? Morgan.
Thank you. I do have a request. If there's an area where there is a school, can you take into account school drop-off hours and pickup when you're doing the hours for street cleaning? Because I noticed particularly in, the school where I drop my son off, the street cleaning coincides with drop-off hours.
Yeah, we could definitely keep that in mind. Is there a particular school that that's impacting you?
That school is Jackson.
Jackson, okay. We'll have to take a look at that, yeah.
Thank you.
Council? No more questions. Thank you again for being here.
All right,
We'll
thank you.
move on to committee reports. First up is Land Use Committee Chair Marona.
Thank you, Chair. The Land Use Committee met on May the 5th, where presentations were heard by the committee from Joe's Mobile Station on Fair Oaks and Woodbury regarding an updated schedule. As you heard, the PUSD shared their updates on Eliot and Franklin schools, and a letter of support for the affordable housing project at 2214 Windsor was also approved. The next meeting for Land Use Committee will be held on June 2nd. Councilmember Anderson will now read the letter only of approval for the housing project that was approved at our meeting as it is in his census tract. Councilmember Anderson.
Thank you, Councilmember Marona. Super quick for context, this is them applying to the California Tax Credit Allocation Community for tax credits to help fund their project. To whom it may concern, I'm writing in strong support of the proposed 100% affordable development at 2214 North Windsor Avenue in Altadena, a 52-unit project designed to prioritize households displaced by the Eaton fire. This project arrives at a pivotal moment in Altadena's recovery, one that requires not only rebuilding but intentional, equity-centered intervention. More than a year after the Eaton fire, data from UCLA's Latino Policy and Politics Institute underscores a deeply concerning trend. Altadena is at risk of permanent renter displacement. Nearly 70% of rental units, over 1,500 homes, fell within the fire perimeter, with a significant portion sustaining severe structural damage. Yet recovery among rental properties has lagged substantially behind homeowner rebuilding, leaving many displaced residents without a viable pathway to return. Prior to the fire, Altadena relied heavily on naturally occurring affordable housing, including rent-stabilized units that supported working families and long-term residents. Much of this housing stock has now been lost. Renters, who even before the disaster had lower incomes, higher cost burdens, and greater economic vulnerability, have been disproportionately impacted and are now dispersed across the region in unstable conditions. Without targeted intervention, many of these households will not return. The Windsor project directly addresses this need by providing 100% affordable housing, including deeply affordable units at 30% AMI, a family-oriented unit mix with a majority of units designed for families, on-site supportive services, including education, workforce readiness, and wellness programming, a commitment to providing fire-displaced Altadena residents. This project is not only responsive, it is aligned with adopted policy. Los Angeles County's housing ordinance update and broader state mandates are explicitly designed to remove barriers to affordable housing production, support housing diversity, and accelerate development in high-need areas, particularly those impacted by disasters. Additionally, the project is consistent with the LA County's West San Gabriel Valley Area Plan, which calls for moderate-density multifamily housing along primary corridors such as Lake Avenue, Lincoln Avenue, and Woodbury Road, locations where infrastructure services and transit are the strongest. Woodbury Road functions as a critical east-west transit-supportive corridor, making it an appropriate and strategic location for affordable housing. It is a corridor we need to assure rejects inappropriate projects and nourishes the historically neglected neighborhood. This project reflects a deliberate planning framework intended to reduce transportation burdens for lower-income households, improve access to jobs, schools, and services, support walkable, connected, and sustainable community development. The Windsor project operationalizes these goals by placing affordable housing within proximity to transit, community resources, and key institutions. Among these institutions is Mary Jackson Elementary School, located less than 3 blocks from the site. As the largest elementary school in Pasadena Unified, serving more students than some middle schools, it plays a critical role in supporting Altadena families. This highlights an essential truth. Housing stability and school stability are inseparable. Pasadena Unified is currently engaged in a long-term planning process to evaluate enrollment trends, facilities use, and potential consolidation. Without pathways for displaced families to return, enrollment declines will continue to put pressure on school viability, programming, and long-term district sustainability. Investing in housing is, therefore, and investing in educational stability and community continuity. Community input further reinforces the importance of this project. Through direct engagement and survey of over 100 residents, we observed both broad recognition for the need for affordable housing and thoughtful conditions concerns related to design, scale, traffic, and neighborhood compatibility. However, the overarching conclusion is clear. The community understands that Altadena must evolve to meet this moment, even as it works to preserve its character. Supporting this project means acknowledging the urgency of renter displacement, the loss of naturally occurring affordable housing, the need for policy-aligned, equity-driven recovery, and the importance of ensuring Altadena residents can return to Altadena. Accordingly, I hope to support continued collaboration with the developer to thoughtfully address community feedback, particularly regarding design integration, circulation, and neighborhood compatibility. Projects of this nature require not only approval, but active partnership and investment to be realized at the level of quality and impact our community deserves. Altadena's recovery must include renters and not just property owners. It must include families, not just structures. It must be guided by both urgency and long-term vision. The Windsor project represents a meaningful, policy-aligned step towards that future. Sincerely, Nick.
I would encourage some editing next time, but
I did that I read that as fast as I could.
Thank you for that. Chair Morona, may I move on?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm moving on to our renters in protection and recovery. Chair Green. And we're moving on to legislative. Oh, didn't we already? Yeah, the letter was sent at later.
It's already been sent.
Hi, my report will be pretty quick since a lot of reports were made specifically regarding the SB 9 and SB 1123. What I'd like to say is that Legislative Affairs, on our Instagram, we are trying to do a succinct notification when these different bills are being passed on the Senate floor so that the people in the community can kind of understand what's going on at their level. So please watch the Altadena Town Council for that. On May 18, Catherine Barker released an official statement that I think that everybody should read regarding the trauma that residents experience with the evacuation. So please go to her website to view her official statement. I think that's something we all should probably look at. Secondly, again, the legislation I was going to speak about has already been talked about, but we are actively monitoring those for the community. So please follow our website for updates. And last, they did speak about voting this Monday. I'm sorry. May 25th is the final day to do your mail-in by vote by mail ballots to the United States Postal Service. Don't forget to do that. And then on the 21st, the Altadena Tenants Union, it's kind of overlapping here, is going to be hosting a Who Gets to Come Back forum. So please go to the Altadena Tenants Union website to look at that. I think that's very important. And lastly, the Legislative Affairs, small but mighty. We're having a meeting in June that we definitely need your help. We have 4 people on the committee, Justin, and we just recruited a few other people here tonight, Morgan, John, Carmody, but I would definitely like to have you guys input for some of these things that are going forward. Thank you so much. That's my report.
Thank you, Chair Green. Moving on to Altadena Fire Recovery Fund Advisory, Chair Morona.
Thank you. The Altadena Eaton Fire Relief Fund Advisory Committee has completed distributing all rounds of grants. The advisory committee was pleased to fund 823 grants for a total of $734,500 directly to Eaton fire survivors. Total funds received were $737,810. As I stated, $734,500 grants distributed. And for our partners at GoFundMe, they took $3,204 to be able to process the credit card fees that went through. There is $106.28 in balance, which we will leave with GoFundMe. Each application received was reviewed for the qualifications that were on the application. Many were rejected for not meeting that criteria. The advisory committee, including Altadena volunteers from both east and west of Lake, and the 2 co-chairs, reviewed applications based on each applicant's need. The demographics roughly fell into these categories. 75% were homeowners who lost everything. 25% were renters. 65% of the grant recipients lived west of Lake. 85% lost everything, including their homes, and 15% no longer could inhabit their home and had great smoke damage and no funding. There were 1% of people who were disabled, although that is only from those who self-identified and chose to disclose that this is not something we asked on the application. Race and ethnicity were not requested on the application. Consequently, we do not possess this data. Additionally, many individuals asked for their information to be excluded. Therefore, only the available data is being provided. Lastly, for grant distributions, our first and second round grants included Visa gift cards, which were roughly 50% of the total grants which were issued with a 6-month expiration, clearly noted on both emails and on the cards. Recipients also received reminder emails. For those grants issued as gift cards, recipients should note that while the council has made aware that there is a California Civil Code section 1749.5, which ensures that expiration dates are not allowed on gift cards, they are allowed on prepaid gift cards, which are the Visa and MasterCard type that were issued. To avoid any confusion, we do encourage all gift card recipients to spend their grants within the time frame indicated or verify that the duration of the credit card exceeds that time frame by contacting the customer service number on the back of the card. There was one person who lost complete everything because they missed that date. They were re-granted their gift, and so we are happy that GoFundMe did allow that to happen. All of this will be placed on the Altadena website, Altadena Town Council website this week. So because I ran through the numbers so fast, you will be able to look at them yourself. We thank our partners, GoFundMe, Pasadena Community Foundation, and all those who gave. There were many $5 to $10 donations, and that added up quite quick to $737,000. And so we're proud to be able to give that to Altadena. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair Morona. We're late, but I just want to thank Chair Morona for the incredible work. It wasn't always that people in pain sometimes cannot always be as patient as we'd like, but I appreciate the work you did and you put your heart and soul into it. Next, we're moving on to our Rebuilding and Infrastructure Committee. Chair Whirlage.
Thank you very much. I have a couple slides. I'll make it very quick. That's okay. We can move on to the next slide and let that one come up. So yeah, the committee did meet with the supervisor's office and SCE on May 4th. And the committee's objectives are pushing for more oversight into SCE's targeted undergrounding efforts, including the recommendations made in last month's letter to the county. Prioritization of complete undergrounding, including all pole utilities, and a focus on finding funding for residents who need trench-to-meter connections. Next slide. We have some recommendations for rebuilding from Public Works. They recommend that all rebuilds install dry utilities in anticipation of future undergrounding. So when you are rebuilding, make sure that you look into putting those utilities in preemptively. And those undergrounding utilities should be raised at the plan check stage of every build. SCE only reviews plans that include panel placement, so you need to have your panels on your plans, and SCE can review those for where your trench is going to be. SCE is committed to work with homeowners to avoid trees and optimize trench placement, so that was an issue. And then if you go to this QR code, you can make an appointment to visit SCE at the Arch, their new center on Fair Oaks, where you can work with them on their undergrounding and your temporary power poles and other needs for your rebuild. Next slide. So we also met on May 18th with Regional Planning and Public Works to discuss their infrastructure recovery plan and the West San Gabriel Valley capital improvements plan. And the objectives were seeking pathways to ensure Altadena has direct input on county level planning decisions, advocating for greater coordination and transparency from the county on infrastructure priorities, and identifying key multi-benefit project priorities and funding opportunities. Next slide. And just a reminder that regional planning does have a survey that they're encouraging the community to take. There should be a link to that survey. So that survey will inform them on priorities for their capital improvement plan. So I encourage everyone to go fill out that survey. And lastly, I had misprinted this QR code last time and I wanted to include it again this time. We want to hear from you. If there's anything that should be a priority for the Rebuilding and Infrastructure Committee, please go and fill out our form, and hope to hear from you there. Thank you so much. I made it within 10 seconds.
Thank you, Councilmember Rowland. And thank you for, I'll turn to Councilmember Anderson also. We've all had talks about kind of meetings and with standing structures and with rebuild, and I think encouraging you and having you hear the guidance of talking to county and meeting with county, I think it's worked out well in both those situations, so I would encourage other council members to continue doing that. Councilmember Stewart Gordon, birthday girl.
Hi, I have a question from Councilman Morgan. Mr. Hathaway spoke about SE dropping a transformer in front of his master bedroom, and I know there was some talks about working together. So was this before that happened or after that happened? I'm trying to line up the timeline to see if, you know, there's really, are they really talking, doing what they said they would do, would work with our residents here. So I know Mr. Hathaway, unless I missed it, can you tell me when that happened, the date? And when did they do it? Okay, 10 days ago. So
Yeah, that was news to me,
So
but
this
I
is
did take note of
after-
that, yeah.
So
and
this
it's
is
something I
after
want to
what
bring up.
they said that they would do when they came to our council meeting.
Yes, yeah. That's something that I noted, so I'm going to bring that up with us.
Okay, thank you.
Noted. Great, okay.
Thank you, council members. All right, we're moving on to Safe Streets and Mobility. Chair Wong.
Thank you, Chair. So the Altadena Town Council Safe Streets, Traffic Safety and Mobility Committee started in 2018. And at that point, we came up, community-led, we came up with the mission statement, which was informing and educating the Altadena community of solutions to traffic safety issues, and also offered by Complete Street Design, collecting data by centralizing and synthesizing existing data with equitable voices of the Altadena community through their concerns through visioning exercises, collaboration with government agencies, community organizing, and proactively finding solutions to traffic safety and mobility. Now, we are at a point now where we're coming through the fire. So I foresee this committee being helpful to also disseminate information, have community voices sharing their thoughts about traffic safety, mobility, and transportation, aligning with the rebuild as well as the CIP and the West San Gabriel Valley Area Plan. So coming soon to a meeting near us, the Bicycle Master Plan draft, which will also be in EIR, because we started in 2023, the county with the actual Bicycle Master Plan. And so this will be the draft phase and the EIR, which will be a great opportunity for us to think about how we move around by bicycle, and the other elements within the mobility element is the pedestrian plan and transit. So last but not least, on the 31st of this month, May is Bike Month, we're going to have in partnership with a variety of organizations, and Altadena Heritage has their annual Golden Poppy. So we're going to have a Golden Poppy bike ride. We're also going to have a Golden Poppy Garden Drive. So the Altadena Bicycle Club will be leading the bike ride. Altadena Heritage will be leading the drive. And then we're going to add in, since the Triangle Park where we're meeting is where that's our transit hub. So we will also have transit rides that you can also walk. So we're going to be doing storytelling and different ways of thinking about how we move around. And we're going to have the mobile park come, and we're going to have tacos and all kinds of fun picnics to end the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wong. All right, we do not have any more public comments turned in. I will turn to 9 census tract reports. 4610, Councilmember Anderson.
Thank you. Representing the great census tract of 4610, the speediest census tract around, so I'll try to keep this quick. We have had a number of discussions about standing structures, and a couple of constituents came to us, and to kind of continue to accelerate, we got some guidance from the county with regards to getting permit fees waived for those who are doing remediation and restoration relative to standing homes. Essentially, the county has indicated that partial loss standing homes may be considered for fee waivers or deferrals for qualifying fire-related repairs. We're still working with organizations on the ground with this, standingstructures.org in particular, but residents can contact the One Stop Permit Center or email recovery at planning.lacounty.gov with regards to getting those fees waived. Secondly, only got 3, so I'm quick. Secondly, from our rock star resident of 4610, Veronica Jones, she asked us very specifically to make sure we announce to everyone about the upcoming Juneteenth celebration 1 month from today. Still looking for volunteers. There'll be a planning meeting on May 20th at 6 p.m. via Zoom, so you can go to the Altadena Historical Society website for that. But that event will actually be on at Loma Alta Park, and there will also be a hike that morning on the El Prieto Trail to commemorate a bench and do some other installations there. So be sure to check that out at the AltadenaHistoricalSociety.org. And then last but not least, the final visioning gathering for Charles White Park was this past Saturday, and there's still an opportunity for feedback. So if you still want to weigh in on the vision for Charles White Park, you can go to charleswhitepark.com. Under time.
I motion to adjourn.
I will entertain the motion after I once again wish Councilmember Stuart Gordon a happy birthday this week. And woo-woo! Before the mic is off and before I adjourn in small town mode, we are clearing the room. Chairs can stack on the rolly things, only 5 high. We're folding up the tables and putting all the props away. I want you to talk to your constituents, but let's get the room packed up first. Thank you. Adjourned.
I second the motion. That was the fastest.